leverage our synergies immediately if we want to dominate the Q3.
While the loudest person in the room is busy giving away all their leverage, the quietest person is silently cataloguing weaknesses, analysing motives, and predicting exactly how the situation will end. There is a dangerous misconception that people who don't talk much are socially anxious, intimidated, or simply have nothing smart to say.
I wonder what he's thinking.
But social psychology reveals a completely different reality. The most intelligent people in the room are often using a highly calculated psychological strategy tied to the observer effect, a neurological advantage that gives silent individuals a borderline unfair edge in life. That person sitting in the corner isn't struggling to fit in. They are playing an entirely different game. And once you discover what is actually going on inside their mind while everyone else is talking, you will never underestimate a quiet person ever again.
We need to leverage our synergies immediately if we want to dominate the Q3 market share. This is non-negotiable. We need to finalize the Q3 strategy right now. That's completely unacceptable. And weak synergy is key here. We're optimizing the back-end infrastructure, leveraging AI and blockchain to really revolutionize the B2B space. Talk, talk, talk.
Society has programmed us to fear dead air. From a young age, we're taught that participation means speaking up, that leadership requires dominating the conversation, and that silence is an awkward void that needs to be frantically filled. Look at any boardroom, social gathering, or negotiation. The majority of people are operating on a deeply rooted compulsion to prove they belong. They over-explain, they brag, they reveal their hidden insecurities, and they spill their underlying motives, all because they mistakenly equate volume with value. Every single time you open your mouth to blindly fill an uncomfortable silence, you are essentially laying your cards face up on the table. You are leaking critical behavioral data. And the quiet person in the room? They are simply collecting those cards. While the loud talker is expending massive amounts of cognitive energy just trying to formulate their next sentence, impress the crowd, and maintain the spotlight, the silent observer's brain is completely unburdened. This is where the power of silence truly takes shape. Their cognitive resources are entirely freed up to analyze the environment. They are noticing the micro-expressions you try to hide. They are picking up on your nervous tics, the subtle shifts in your tone, and the glaring inconsistencies in the narratives being told. They are actively mapping the social hierarchy of the room, identifying who holds the real power and who is just desperate for validation, all without taking a single social risk. But here is where everything you thought you knew about social dynamics gets flipped completely upside down. You probably assume the quiet person is sitting there feeling intimidated, socially anxious, and secretly wishing they had the confidence to join the banter. The reality: they aren't staying quiet because they lack the courage to speak. They are staying quiet because their brain processes dopamine differently, making them entirely immune to the cheap thrill of social validation that everyone else in the room is currently addicted to. Neuroscience backs this up. Highly talkative people rely on an active dopamine reward system. They need rapid-fire external stimulation, reactions, nods, and laughter, just to feel engaged. Quiet people? They run on an entirely different neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. This chemical rewards deep, internal focus. It makes thinking, analyzing, and observing far more pleasurable than talking. They don't need your applause. They are fueled by understanding exactly how you operate. But what happens when you bring this chemical advantage into a high-stakes environment? Pure leverage. Think about a tense negotiation, an argument, or a critical business meeting. The loud person uses words as a shield, constantly talking to try and control the narrative. The quiet person uses silence as a weapon. They create a conversational void, and human nature absolutely panics in a void. When faced with prolonged silence, the talker's anxiety spikes. So what do they do next? They self-destruct. To break the unbearable tension, the loud talker will start negotiating against themselves. They will overshare, drop their asking price, or backpedal on their boundaries. The quiet person hasn't moved a single muscle, yet they've just won the psychological upper hand. But forcing people to expose their weaknesses is just phase one. The real danger of a silent observer lies in their memory. When you aren't burning energy trying to dominate the room, your brain becomes a high-definition recording device. Quiet people are silently indexing every single thing you say. They remember the offhand comment you made 3 months ago. They notice when your current story contradicts your past one. They're building a highly accurate psychological profile of everyone in their vicinity. They know exactly who is a threat, who is a pawn, and who is an ally. Which brings up an incredibly intimidating question. If they know all your secrets, your hidden motives, and your glaring weaknesses, what exactly happens when the quiet person finally decides to open their mouth? When a truly quiet person speaks, the entire room stops. Because they aren't throwing darts in the dark hoping something sticks. They are executing a precision strike. Every single word that leaves their mouth has been meticulously filtered, cross-referenced against that high-definition mental database they've been building, and calculated for maximum impact. They don't speak to prove they exist. They speak to move the pieces on the board. While the loud talker exhausted their social capital within the first 5 minutes, the silent observer has hoarded all of theirs. The psychological reality is rooted in simple economics. Words are subject to inflation. The more you use them, the less value they hold. Quiet individuals instinctively understand this. By starving the environment of their voice, they create a massive psychological demand. When they finally choose to break their silence, they don't have to yell over the crowd. The crowd naturally quietens down. People physically lean in. The dynamic instantly shifts, and their carefully chosen words cut through the noise with absolute, undeniable authority. This is the entirely different game they have been playing since the moment they walked in. They happily allow the loudest individuals to burn out fighting for the mere illusion of control, while they quietly secure the actual power. They don't need to announce their intelligence or desperately perform for a fleeting hit of dopamine, because true brilliance never has to shout. So, the next time you find yourself in a high-stakes environment, and you notice someone sitting calmly in the background, resisting every urge to jump into the frantic crossfire of conversation, do not mistake their silence for weakness. Do not assume they are intimidated or have nothing to say. They are quietly operating as the architect of the room, and by the time you finally realize they are the most formidable person at the table, they have already figured out exactly how to outplay you.
In a world full of noise, clarity is a choice. Focus your words and their true value. I know this looks bad, but it's not what you think. The projections, they just didn't account for the sudden market shift.
And I told her, absolutely not, you are not wearing that tonight. Oh my God, you did not.
How many times do I have to explain this? No, that's unacceptable.
To ensure you are never the one being outplayed, you must master the invisible psychological games happening around you in plain sight. Controlling human dynamics isn't an accident. It is a meticulously calculated skill. If you want to stop reacting to the noise and start moving the pieces on the board yourself, you need the right mental frameworks. Subscribe to Build That High-Definition Mental Database with us, where we consistently decode the exact psychology of power, influence, and strategic behavior. Or, if you're ready to immediately level up your ability to read the room, click the video on your screen right now to discover the subtle behavioral cues that reveal exactly what people are thinking before they ever open their mouths.
We need to finalize the Q3 strategy right now. That's completely unacceptable, and we can't launch without the update. Talk. Ha. Ha. Laugh.